Welcome to the My Creative Days podcast, where we will talk about all things DIY, home decor, decorating tips, and creating a beautiful home on a budget. I am hoping our time together will spark a creative idea, help you plan your next DIY, or inspire you to finally tackle that project you keep putting off. Grab your favorite cup of motivation and let's chat. Welcome back to the podcast. Today I'm going to talk about 7 methods for stripping intricate details on like furniture pieces. We all know how to sand like the flat areas on pieces of furniture, but sometimes those intricate details where, it may be, curves on a piece of furniture or like lines or indentations or just like pretty details, ornate details on furniture. It's hard to sand in those areas, and I'm going to share 7 different methods today with you to that makes it a little bit easier. And some of these methods, some people will not like, but I'm sharing them anyway because I have used every single one of these except for one, but I actually have it here at the house, and I'm going to be trying it on a piece of furniture that has tons of, little details that I need to sand around and I want to strip. So I'm going to be getting that out soon. So number 1 is the oven cleaner hack. And this is the one that's a little, controversial, or some people don't like it or whatever. I have used it, and when it works amazing. It saves you so much time and energy, and it gets into all the little crevices easily and strips your piece. So basically it is oven cleaner. I have found out that it doesn't matter if you get the name brand or the store brand, they both work the same. One just has a little more foam when it comes out of the can than the other, but as far as how they work, I wanted to try them both, and they both work the same. So you basically spray that on the wood, whatever you're trying to strip, and then you use a brush to scrub it, and then you rinse it off. So for each one of these things, I will leave a link to either the post or the video that I have about actually using these methods, or the link to the actual product, so you can check it out in the show notes. But the oven cleaner hack does work, but I know some people don't like that. So another thing that works well, that is kind of like the oven cleaner, is Strip Well, and that's a little bit more eco-friendly option. It is a stripper, but it doesn't have the harsh chemicals. So obviously you can use stripper. It's just, I didn't add that in as one of these because it's not easy. It's gunky. It's a mess. It takes a lot of work. I mean, it's definitely an option, but it's just not one that I ever want to do because it's just the process, depending on what the piece is, it's just more work than it's worth, if that makes sense. So, but Strip Well, when it's kind of like the oven cleaner, you spray it on, and when it works great. So it's the spray, stuff like that can get into the tiny crevices and get rid of or strip the paint or the finish for you without you having to try to get your sander in there, because your rotary sander, your orbital sander, your regular hand sander, they're great for flat, large surfaces, but for getting into those intricate details, they just don't get in there. So these are the methods that I've used and they have worked. Another thing that I like to use is a card sander, and it's basically this thin plastic piece, and then you wrap the sandpaper around that, and it can get into, if you think about legs of a piece, that has indented lines in it all the way around the legs. The card sander is really good for getting into areas like that. So I will grab that and use that for those kinds of areas. A sandblaster. Now, this is the one that I just got. I have not used yet, but I have seen it used, and it looks amazing. So I'm super excited to try it out and just see. I mean, it's literally I think, you hook it up to a compressor, and it's blowing the sand on the piece. So I'm sure there's a learning curve, but it just, when you see it when you see it working or you see somebody else doing it, it just looks so easy. Like you just, wave this wand over your piece and then all the stain or whatever comes off. So that is one I have not tried yet, but I'm super excited to try it. From what I have seen, it made me want to buy one and get the sand and all that. So I have it ready to go. I just need to pull it out and figure it out. And then I'm going to try it on a huge wardrobe that I have that I have a lot of intricate details to sand around and just strip. I'm trying to strip this piece down to the natural wood or as much as I can. The paint that was on it, when I share it on social media, people are like, "Oh my gosh, it's perfect as is. Just clean it up." But you without seeing it in person, it doesn't show through the camera very well. They used this gold like craft paint in some of the like smaller detail areas. It's the worst. And the green color and the cream color, it looks like it's chippy. It's just not good all around. So I'm trying to get it down to the natural wood, and what's underneath is beautiful. So fingers crossed that this works. Another thing is a heat gun. So I have been using that on this wardrobe, and it's a great tool. You use that and like a paint scraper. And you just, it's been really good to get into those smaller areas. So you heat up the paint. I'm working with paint. I've used it mostly for paint. So it's paint that I'm trying to get off, but you just heat it up. My tip to you is do not turn on your heat gun and then blast it at the highest heat that it can go. Stay on the lowest heat that it can go and see how that's going to work with the paint that you're trying to get off. Every piece, every paint job, whatever, it's going to look different, but start cooler before you go hotter. Because if you start burning the piece, then you've got a whole nother mess that you're trying to, sand away, and you may not be able to, depending on how burnt how burnt the wood is. But a heat gun is a great tool to have to strip paint, and it can get in, you have your really thin paint scraper, so that will get into intricate details. And then the heat gun, is just reactivating the paint, and it just scrapes right off when it works. So the heat gun is the first thing I grab to see how it's going to do. The next thing that I've actually been using on the wardrobe is a Dremel. So you can get little sanding pads and attachments that can go to your Dremel. And again, it's a smaller like sanding thing. I actually have a newer Dremel on order. I've used my dad's. That's the only one I have, and it's an old one. There's only one speed, and it's too fast. So it can kind of get away from me really fast if I don't hang on to it. And so I'm waiting for the newer model to show up, and then hopefully I can, it's got more speeds. And but they're great to get in some smaller areas where your orbital sander cannot get into. And lastly is my ServPrep sander. Now, like I said, I'm going to have links for all of these videos, posts, and products in the description. And for ServPrep, I actually have a coupon code with them as well. It is an investment, but the pads and the different things that you can, attachments and or sanding pads and different things that you can put on it, it molds around the curves and the of your piece, which like your flat orbital sander will not do. Does that make sense? So the ServPrep actually has pads and things that you can put on it, and it literally will mold around. Just think about like the top of a dresser type of thing. It'll mold around that top edge perfectly. And then I also use it on, if it's not like really tiny, intricate details, it will actually sand in between and kind of curve around the different intricate areas and makes the sanding really, really easy. So that's another tool that I will grab, again, depending on your piece, depending on the detail that you're trying to sand or strip or remove. It's a great tool to have. It is an investment. I do have a coupon code. I'll put it in the show notes, but it definitely will pay for itself because it'll save you a lot of time and energy in your projects. So those are 7 methods that I like to use for those little tiny areas that are just so hard to reach with your normal, just like your normal orbital sander. And then, a hand sander's not really going to get in there. But these are methods that really, really, really do work. If you've tried one, try some of these other ones and see what you think. But if you have any questions, always reach out to me. You can email me, Lindsay@mycreativedays.com, or reach out to me on Instagram @mycreativedays. But if you have a favorite, or if you have a tip that I didn't, or a tool that I didn't share here, let me know what it is. Cause I'm always trying to, share new ideas or share tips that have come to me or techniques. So please tell me what works for you, because I'm always looking for new ideas or, ways to make my projects easier or go faster or whatever. So please send those to me as well. And yeah, I'd love to know what your favorite way to sand or strip, intricate details on your furniture pieces. Please let me know. Reach out to me on Instagram or in email, because I would love to hear what your favorite ways are as well. So until next time, I hope you have a great day, and I will talk to you very soon. Hello, friends. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. I'm grateful that you tune in every week and that you share the show with your family and friends. I love having creative chit chats with you, and my hope is that this podcast will inspire you to try a new project, start a DIY that you've been putting off, and decorate your home exactly how you want it. There are a few ways you can help us with the podcast. Follow the podcast so you don't miss an episode. And if you could take a few minutes to leave the podcast a review, that would help us so, so much. Again, thank you for being here, and I look forward to our chat next week. Bye-bye.